Going over finances with your spouse is a key item in life. And I certainly try to do that with my spouse at least once a quarter, maybe even more often. And some good questions come up whenever I go over our investment portfolio together. And I wanted to make a video just to kind of, put it out there, what I'm doing, what I think, we ought to be doing as active investors. At the end of the day, I'm here to make money for my family. I think it's fun to take an investment and watch it grow. And the payout is, providing for my family, providing for my sons and my wife, and having fun with the money, having security with the money, and so forth. But a key step is really getting my spouse involved. And some really key questions came up in the conversation we had actually yesterday. And I wanted to make a video just to kind of talk about a couple of items. My name is Victor. I have an MBA, a lot of business experience, and I try to put a lot of thought into the investments as well as the strategy and approach that I take in investing. Let me share with you more about my lessons learned and recommendations as you talk to your spouse or partner. A key task is to really come to a consensus on what goals you have with the portfolio. What do you want to do with the portfolio? Do you want to pay for college expenses? Retirement. That's really important. I look forward to retiring comfortably and having a lot of fun with my wife. Vacations and experiences, really, creating enough, saved up earnings, saved up dividends, saved up savings overall to really take really fun vacations. Took a vacation to Europe, went to Italy for a couple of weeks, just had a really, really good time. So all those things are goals. And at the end of the day, it's really reaching for financial freedom. And, I go over these goals with my wife. I think we're on the same page when it comes to these things. And it's three areas that I think I would put out there for you. Maybe you're doing the same. I think meeting at least once a quarter is a good idea, but I would recommend more often, maybe once a month. And it doesn't have to be, a long meeting. It could be a brief meeting that gets to the highlights of what's been going on with the investments and, any highlights, any changes, any problems. In 2022, the market was really tough. So we had to kind of weather that together. I wanted to make my wife aware that, hey, it's a down year, but we had really good years in the past. We've been married for a while. So I've had a lot of good years. And this year's a really good year. So it's kind of a more positive conversation nowadays, but it's really important to have that conversation regularly. Really readdress your goals together. Is life changing? Is there anything new that you want to do? So that's really important to bring up. And this, I would tell you that I really like to get informed on, what my spouse is, thinking about when we talk about investing. Certain thoughts come to my mind, certain thoughts come to my spouse's mind. I'm really curious to hear what's on her mind, and she can educate me on those thoughts, and vice versa. I can throw around acronyms and financial jargon. And sometimes I need to clarify and really keep it so that she understands, what I'm doing with the portfolio, how I'm trying to grow it, and so forth. And last, we meet with an advisor every so often. I have free access to a really good advisor team through my brokerage. And you might as well, by the way. I would check with your brokerage. I think if you have enough assets, they'll provide you a lot of resources. And we meet with that advisor. They also provide attorneys. Well, we have our own attorney. And when we do all our wills and living trust information, we meet together. And it gives me a chance to listen to my wife talk to somebody else about finances, ask questions of somebody else, and vice versa. She gets to hear me, talk to that advisor. And I think those meetings are really meaningful. And I really appreciate having those meetings. Now, in yesterday's conversation, the topic came up of, hey, what happens when I pass away, when I'm out of the picture? I'm actively managing this fund of many stocks and bonds and so forth. All these instruments, I have, precise knowledge of them. I've been doing a lot of research on these. Some of these companies I've owned for multiple decades. But that's going to go with me. It's not something that anybody else in my family has that domain and history with. So it's we keep the plan fairly simple. First, go to our brokerage, and take control of the fund. And she's already met with the brokerage, as mentioned earlier. So she would be comfortable. She knows where their office is, kind of go through the exercise of taking over the fund. Step two is, there's a short list of people that I trust, and she has that short list. One of them is somebody who I've been, professionally have had a friendship with him. He's a finance guy. I'm a finance guy. So he's on that short list as an example. And then instructions on how to rebalance the fund, going from a fund today that has a lot of growth stocks to a fund that would be with safer stocks and bonds. So currently the fund of stocks, bonds, and cash that we have that I actively trade on, it's made up of 62% stocks. And a lot of these stocks are growth stocks. They've done great. I see me holding these stocks for the next 20 years. But again, if I'm out of the picture, the whole strategy changes. And fixed income, it's become a bigger part of the pie because interest rates are just much higher. Bonds are paying higher. So, hey, I'll take a yield that has far less risk, especially since the stock market is overpriced at the current time. So that's the current asset allocation. But let's just pretend we had to go through a hypothetical, we got to rebalance. And this is, what I want to share with my wife is you want to rebalance to more fixed income, really stable, investments. I've been fortunate and have saved up for my family. So I want that savings to last my family. And then still have some equities. These equities would be more defensive, maybe some blue chips, some companies that we really like and really understand. And companies like Kroger, right? They're a food retailer. They're a grocery store. I think we all need groceries. We all understand groceries. So that's one of the investments in the portfolio. That one's a keeper. Companies like CVS pharmaceutical company. We've been going to CVS for decades. We understand that business. So that'd be a nice, secure, defensive stock. And, maybe sell some of the growth stocks, some of the stocks that have just been crushing, gains, which have been really fun, but, they can also go down significantly. Meta, as an example, in 2022, Meta went down, 70%. It was incredible how low it got. It got down to $82 a share in 2022. And now it's trading above $300 a share. So that type of volatility is not for a novice or maybe a passive investor. It should be in the hands of somebody who's actively trading stocks and keeping track of them and making decisions that will really manage that fund well. So there's some lessons learned, some advice that I would pass along on communicating with your spouse, partner. And, it's all about, the goal for me is, again, grow my portfolio and really make it worth as much as possible. That way I could have the financial freedom to support my family. If one of my kids wants to start a business, I have the freedom to do that. If I want to take a trip to Europe or to Asia and really have fun, I have the freedom to do that. And that's because, we've been able to meet a lot of these goals we've had, and we're on the same page with regard to that. But it's also important to, keep in mind that life happens and we're not all going to live forever. So having that, legacy planning and saying, okay, well, eventually when I'm not around, what would happen? I think it was a healthy conversation to have, and I'm glad we did so. So that way, should that day come, I know that my wife and my kids would be okay. So I hope you enjoyed the video, maybe gave you some food for thought as you manage your fund and you communicate with your spouse or partner. Thank you for watching. Good luck investing in 2023.